All right, I see that we are live on YouTube. I'm just waiting for LinkedIn to come up. Okay, we are live on LinkedIn. What's up, guys? It is your girl Rose with the Spotlight DMV, and we are back with another Behind the Event. And guys, I am loving these Behind the Event. If you cannot tell, it is a chance to really get to know the people that are putting on these events in our community so you can see what they're all about, not just what the event is about, but the person's organizing the events. Because let me tell you, we all have a story to tell. And so today, I am so excited to bring to you Narcisso Wine Cellar and Chef Quincy, Chef Swank, Winstead, the team behind one of the most anticipated food and wine experiences happening right here in Prince George's County. Welcome to the Spotlight DMV.
Hi.
Hi, hi.
Hello. And so, guys, before we get into it, I want to play a little something for you that you may have seen floating around on social media. So, guys, today we're going to be talking about the upcoming Chef's Table Dinner. It is an intimate evening of bold flavors, handcrafted Maryland wines, and community connection. And listen, if you already know about Narciso Wine Cellars and about Chef Swank, you already know you don't want to miss this. So go ahead and grab your seat now. You can head to the link in my bio or in the description for this discussion and use the code Spotlight DMV10 to save on your ticket. Seats are limited, and I promise you they are going to sell out. They're already close to selling out because, like I said, it is an intimate dinner. So now, as I mentioned earlier today on social media, if you're following me on the Spotlight DMV on Instagram and on Facebook, I am having a special announcement tonight at the end of this conversation. So stay tuned all the way to the end for a big announcement and your chance to win something special. It's going to make this experience even sweeter. And so I'm very excited to welcome my guests, Dalia Chambers and Cyndi Campbell, the powerhouse sisters behind Narciso Wine Cellar, and the man bringing the flavor to the chef's table, Chef Quincy, Chef Swank Winstead. Welcome, y'all. I'm very excited to have you all here. And so let's really get into this. Before we get into the event, as I mentioned, what I love about behind the events is that people get to meet the organizers behind it. They get to hear the vision and how it all came together. And y'all know me, I love a good story. And so I'm going to start with Narciso Wine Cellar, the sisters Dalia and Cyndi. And you ladies, you have such a special story. And, I've been there from the beginning. So I'm so excited that I just really get to talk about your journey along the way and give you a platform to speak about it as well. And so, Narcisso Wine Cellar actually started out of living rooms. It started out of fellowshipping. It started out of women getting together. Tell us about how you built this Maryland premium wine brand. Take us through some of the early days and how it all began.
Well, this is a storyteller right here, but I heard you. As you know, we are originally from the Caribbean coast of Nicaragua. This is the area of Nicaragua, specifically Bluefields. You have to represent Bluefields, yes. Right?
Yes.
So specifically, this is the area of Nicaragua where most of the people of African descent are from. And there is this tradition of fruit wines. As you know, we've mentioned before that it's especially during the holiday season that different families and friends would make fruit wines and exchange. Wines like cashew wines, corn wines, all different types of fruit wines, right? And as a matter of fact, we always talk about my dad making fruit wines, and that was the beginning for us. But I was thinking about the other day that Mom used to mention that her mother, so our maternal grandmother, used to also make orange wines, right? So this is just, it started as from tradition. So essentially rooted in tradition. And, you know, then it became a thing for us to be able to have family and friends get together. It was a hobby at first, as you know, something that I just wanted to do. You know, I called my dad, asked for his recipe, and decided to do this. And but not too late after, different people started asking me to make wine for different events. And Cyndi, of course, you know, approached me with the idea of...
You're so kind. She said approach.
with the idea of turning what was my hobby into a company. And at the time, I just couldn't see it, you know. So I told her no. And she would say that I told her absolutely not.
You know, he's being nice by saying just no.
But you know, a year later and several requests later from different people, I realized that this is something that we should be doing, not just for having a company, a winery, you know, but also as a nod to our heritage. And as you know, two of our wines represent that, and that's Midnight and Serenity. Both of those wines are infused with other fruits and directly representing who we are and our heritage.
And I would just add to that I see it more of, in addition to that, is also an extension and a continuation. For us, it was always about sharing with family and friends. And to me, when we talked about our philosophy about winemaking and the company, it was just extending it to a larger family, if you will, because we're still focused on sharing that with our community. And so this is just kind of the Narciso wine family. So that I'll add that part to it.
You know, I really love what you're saying because, you know, as some of you may know, that my family is also from Bluefields, Nicaragua. And as I have shared with both you, Dalia, and Cyndi, about you both really helping me to change my point of view on how I look at winemaking and how I view who should be making wines, right? Because my mom used to make fruit wines as well. And I just always looked at it as like some kind of crazy concoction. She'd be like, come taste this thing. I'm like, Mom, I am not drinking that. I'm not. And we tend, like, because that's not something that we have seen where the wines from those countries are respected in the same way that other wines are respected. I was not exposed to that, so I didn't know how to frame that and how to even think about it and how to even respect that as a part of my culture, right? Like this is what we've been doing. Is that we're not in stores or whatever, but this is still wine, and it's still something that we have been making all our lives. It's something that's been passed down for generations. And so, speaking of something that's being passed down, and as family, you guys have a family business. All of this, your family is a part of it. Y'all are sisters. So talk to us about it. And you have been on a roll this year. Like, first and foremost, when you launch, like, because your company is not that old, even though you have been making wines for a long time. So when you first started doing it in your living room and like sharing with people and thinking, okay, this is something past just a tasting. Talk to us about that piece of it, about when it was like, okay, Cyndi asked and we said that it's going to be a business. When did that start? Like, what year?
So that part of it was 2019, after 2 years of her saying no, and that, but it allowed us to kind of talk a bit more when she said yes, was to really think about how we wanted to run our business, right? That it was more than just a business. It was, as I said, an extension, but also what is it that would be the kind of the guiding principles of our business, our philosophy. And we came up with a couple of things that were very straightforward and simple, but that were always important to us. And we continue doing that today. And one is just making good tasting wines, right? Yeah. To make it approachable. And I know you probably hear that a lot about wines, but we really wanted to make it easy for people to enjoy wines. It didn't have to be super complicated. Making it accessible, meaning that not just being able to purchase it online or something like that, but also as a price point, but everything that we talk about in terms of our philosophy, whether it's approachable wines, accessible wines, getting our community involved, working with our community, local businesses, these were all things that we saw as that applied to us as well, that we would be approachable, so that, the wine industry, can be very, for lack of a better term, like pretentious. And so people are like, oh my God, it's so complicated. I don't want to do this, or I'm afraid to ask questions. So we wanted to make us as a business, as people, approachable, accessible, the same way that when we have events, you can still come and talk to us. People reach out to us and ask for, whether it's to do an event or donations, and making the time to talk to them. And then collaborating. That's one of the things that has been like number one since day one for us, was making sure that we give back. So that's just something that it's a priority for us. And we did that year one. I don't know if you recall, but we had about 34 businesses that we collaborated with within Prince George's County or our community. And that's something that we will continue to do as well. And so, that's kind of where we started 2019. In 2023, we did our first release, because, from vine to bottles takes a bit. 2023 was our first release. So if you look at it from that perspective, the end of June of this year has only been 2 years. But we did a lot of, as you know, from the beginning, a lot of group, tastings, focus groups, just trying to find what was missing, the gap that was here locally, especially in Prince George's County. And so that is what helps us make decisions about how we ran our business back then, but how we will continue to do it.
And you ladies have really kicked down the door when we're talking about collaboration, but not just collaboration, but even in how you launched your brand. Because when you launched, how many different types of wine did you launch with?
Well, yeah, that's a funny. I mean, that part, we did a lot of course, research and whatnot before starting this business. But one of the things that we did not do research on was how many wines should we really start out with? And we started out with 7, which was just crazy, right? But actually, Dalia had like 9 wines that we worked on. And so somehow we decided, like, oh, 9 was way too much, but 7 was just right.
That's right.
So it wasn't until like meeting with other, wine colleagues in the area that they were like, 7, how about 2, maybe 1. So yeah, we just didn't know any better in terms of that sense, but it's worked out for us because we were thinking about just having a portfolio where everyone could find something that they liked, because everyone's palate is different. And we were not going to just say, it has to be only dry wines, because we knew that there is not only a market, but that people who have a preference for a semi-sweet palate, let's say, that they deserve to have good tasting wines as well. So, so we started out with 7.
And so this year, y'all have also been, you launched one in the summer, and I want to play this video about for Solstice, the launch that you had of one of your more recent wines this year. Hang on. Oh, not that one. Yes, and so that was this June, the launch of one of your newer wines. Talk to us about, because you have a few that you're launching this year, right? Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, actually in March, I think it was March, was when we launched our first sparkling, our rosé, our Jubilee, that was a tribute to our mom. And then in June is when we did our Blancs, our Blancs à Blanc. So that was our second sparkling. So we been busy, and of course we have a caps off that we have also this year. So it's been a busy year, but I hope that 10 is I think we should, we're always thinking about, like, oh, what's something new? I mean, with our entire collection is trying to, while we may use the traditional methods to produce our wines, we try to find something different to give people. And I think that, you see that with our collection, with some of the blends that we have and the grapes and the varietals that we choose. So that's, we've accepted that we just do things differently, and hope that it works out, right?
I think too, coming from the fruit wine background, we are not in a box.
Yeah.
We have fun with our wines. We get to experiment. And I am just tickled that Midnight, especially, right, has been so successful. It's just been crazy. It's just been crazy. So yes, I think that perspective allows us to just try things and just be fearless in doing this.
And so Midnight, we were talking about that just before we went live, about Midnight. So even the name, it means something special. Tell us about Midnight and why that one is so special.
Well, Midnight, the name itself comes from there is a dance in Bluefields at the end of May, just before the rainy season, where people from the traditional Black neighborhoods come out at midnight, and we have a dance. We form essentially a human tunnel. You dance underneath, and then you become a part of the tunnel. As partners go through the tunnel, and then you hold hands and you become a part of the tunnel. And this is done um, as a celebration and welcoming the rainy season. So originally, the dance itself is called Tulululu. So originally, um, when we were looking for a name for midnight, I wanted it to be midnight at Tulululu, but then Cyndi said, "Can't fit all of that
I
on a
can see,
label."
I'm looking at her face right now.
I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get that on a label and have it be, visible. So
So we decided midnight. But also, as I said, mentioned before, midnight is one of two of our wines that we have infused with another fruit. Midnight is infused with cranberry, and again, that's just a nod to our heritage. Um, but to see it being welcome into the wine industry, and to see so many people, whether dry drinkers or sweet drinkers, being able to appreciate midnight, it's just amazing. Just amazing.
And I really love that cultural tie-in, the family tie-in. It's a family business, and and Midnight has that special story. And so I want to bring Chef Swank into the conversation, because this partnership is a chef's kiss. And so, Chef Swank, you're a Bowie native, a proud Johnson and Wales alum, executive chef of your own catering company, and sous chef at Marriott Hotels in Bethesda. That is a full plate, no pun intended. And so, before we get into your story, I want to share with the audience a small video about you as well.
I know I wanna dance, maybe a little prince. I just got this new dress. Oh, but I gotta rest. It was a long, hot Saturday long. Calling and dragging got me running the marathon. And my people.
And so, guys, as I mentioned already, you can find the tickets to the Chef's Table in the link in my bio. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, and I wish we could smell that food, because I'm pretty sure it smells really good.
Definitely, most definitely.
Go to the link in my bio and get your tickets now. You can use the discount code Spotlight DMV, all caps, Spotlight DMV, the number 10, to save on your tickets. And so now, Chef Swank, being from Bowie and having all of Prince George's County come with you into your food, talk to us about your journey into food. When did you fall in love with cooking and with food?
Wow. Well, I'm not as great of a storyteller as Dalia, but I try my best. But no, my journey started really. If you ask my mother, I started in the kitchen like 3 or 4 years old, climbing just to get some
Wow.
food. So I was always just I would open up the dishwasher, try to climb up just to get in the fridge or any cabinet. So food was always on my mind, just from the start. But my dad, he grew up in kitchens. He worked as a chef as well. So on that end, he had me in the kitchen early, rolling up sushi and doing things like that at like 5 years old. And then I would go over to my aunt's around the same age, and she would have me baking. So we would be baking over at Aunt B's and cooking at home. So it was, I had both sides of that growing up. Um, but yeah, my love for cooking was always there. As far as community, like I was always in boys and girls clubs growing up in the community, and I think that is, that was just my upbringing. But After growing and doing that for so long, it was like I just wanted to figure what trade I wanted to do. And I always said growing up that I wanted to be a chef, but it was kind of like sports and everything was, those are my influences. But once I really looked at the bigger picture, I was like, this is what I really want to do. So after school, I went to Johnson and Wales, studied there, met a lot of people, met a lot of great chefs, made some great connections. And I just loved it so much. The curriculum was very fast paced for me. It was like my first like time getting thrown into a real commercial kitchen, but it helped me grow a lot. Of course, they say college is that time away from home, so you grow so much. But that was that experience was just exactly what I needed. So, I went to North Carolina, did that, and came back and spent about uh, 2 years in Baltimore, working mom and pop kitchens, kind of getting that real Maryland style cooking, learning crab cakes, and just kind of getting thrown into the fire a little bit. So that was great. I was just a young chef growing at that point, and that's kind of when I started doing catering. I would do because I was working two jobs and in school at the time, so I would go to class, work at Target, and then I would make plates coming home, and I would sell those. So it was a lot at the time, but looking back, I had so much fun and learned so much, and I had like you said, you can't do it without community. So it's like I had my
Right.
friends helping, my mother, my brother, like my whole entire family was. I have such a great support system. So it's like I have everything I need around me. So I just got to give them thanks really because that's without them I wouldn't be where I am. So, but yeah, that's where it started. And actually, um, during COVID is really where I started picking up my catering because I was doing plates initially, and then during COVID I kind of just that's all you could do. So I was really just driving around delivering plates, and that turned into events, and then that just turned into anything that I could do, an event, a meal plan, anything with anyone. I would just collaborate, and that's how I got basically where I am now. And after COVID, I did jump over into the corporate side. So working with Marriott started in like 2020, 2021, right after COVID. So that corporate side, I really learned a lot and have been learning a lot, just as far as managing my own, seeing the corporate side, making those connections,
Yeah.
and really it's been really eye opening. You get into the corporate side and you appreciate the other side of building relationships with people, and just make also cooking your own food, making being able to create my own. I appreciate that versus cooking somebody else's food, which is two different things, but I enjoy being able to see both sides of it. All that to say, has been a wonderful experience and a lot of growth for sure.
Well, first, I love that your dad was also a chef. And so it's pretty clear, even though you mentioned that a lot of people that inspired you when you were growing up were in sports and whatnot, but
Mhm.
you still had that influence at home
For
of
sure.
your dad being in a kitchen. So was he also he was a professional chef as well?
Not professional, so he just grew up he was more of so he worked in kitchens growing up, and then after that he
Mm-hmm.
kind of stepped away from it, but kept that in his heart. So at home he would always be cooking, and I always say, because I went to culinary school, but I always say you learn so much just being in the kitchen. So I think he had that same culinary
Yeah.
experience that I got, just not professionally trained. So so
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I blame my story is the other way around. My mom kept us out the kitchen. She'd be like, "This kitchen is too small for all of us to be in here. Y'all
Yeah.
stay out the kitchen." And I do not like cooking. I do not like it, and so I
Yeah.
blame my mom. No,
Yeah.
but I love hearing the early influence stories and then how that plays out later in life. Because what I've heard from both of you about getting now on this path, like during COVID and things like that, when you had time to think about what is it that I really want to do.
Mhm.
And that's why I love sharing these stories as well, because right now we are in a time where people are looking like it's a time of opportunity, right? And where things are not stable in a way that we were used to them being stable.
Right.
And so some people are looking for ways on how to go back to maybe some of the things that they loved and they couldn't do at that time because they had to, they were on a different path. But now maybe some of those opportunities are open for them to do those things that they loved. And so I really want to hear now about the collaboration piece of it and how you guys met. Let's talk about that. How did y'all meet? And so I'll say ladies first. Let's start with the ladies.
So we met in March at our Jubilee at that launch, actually. And so, I'd heard about this, this Chef Swank, and I'm like, okay, so we gotta to share our wines with him. And so he was there and went through the flight, of course. And we'll get a little bit more into that, but I was really surprised by he tried all the wines and then he got to Serenity and was like, yeah, we can do something with this for a dessert pairing. I'm like, I tell Dalia all the time, we've had quite a few chefs come to our tastings or at events where there were chefs that they shared that after the fact, right? After they tasted the wines. And it never fails that they're like, the wines are great, but this is just interesting. And I think it's having to, you don't find a lot of pairings, I guess, with desserts. People usually focus on the main course. So that was our first interaction was at our release for Jubilee, and just seeing that, okay, this could be a really good opportunity to collaborate, to do something different and giving a different experience to our guests.
For me, it was exciting. The idea of collaborating with a young chef from Bowie.
Yes.
Right. For us, Bowie has been very good to us. Prince George's County on a whole has been good to us. We've raised our families here. So as a matter of fact, I was thinking about it. I'm like, we have lived in Bowie, in Prince George's County, longer than we've lived in our own home in a Bluefield.
Wow. Yeah.
And so being able to do this with Chef Swank, from Bowie, it's very exciting. Very exciting.
Most definitely. And just going to the event and tasting the wine and just the experience. Because I always say, you connect, because I cook food, of course, but you connect food and wine through experiences. And just going to the event, I could see that, you all knew how to do that, and that I, of course, do that in my own way, but I felt just as a collaborative effort, we could definitely do something beautiful together. And, and the wine speaks for itself. So it's like you taste the wine and it's amazing. So, and of course, I cook some pretty good food myself. So I knew that collaboration would be, an amazing event for sure.
No, so Chef Swank, how did you find out about the Jubilee release event in March?
So through, of course, Dalia's daughter, Brianna, and one of my very good childhood friends, Manny, they invited me
my
to
son-in-law.
the event. Exactly. They invited me to the event, and literally I happened to be off work, so I was very happy to, be able to make it. And, it immediately clicked. It was just like having a conversation with them and, just, saying, or just quick conversations like, oh, I could see myself doing this, or, or being able to, just do certain things that you will all see on the event on the 18th. And, that's just kind of how everything just meshed together perfectly. It honestly was just a genuine mesh that just kind of happened naturally, and, it all come together on the 18th.
No, I love that, right? You taste something and you're like, that would be good with X, Y, and Z. Like, those are the things that I like to hear, because then it has my brain thinking, like, what are they going to pair that up with?
Exactly.
So let's talk a bit about the event on the 13th. It's It's a 3-course pairing. I mean, I'm sorry, on the 18th. It is a 3-course pairing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a bit about what guests can look forward to experiencing at the event.
Yeah, so basically you'll be experiencing a demo of me preparing a beautiful entree. You'll step in and have a wonderful charcuterie board that will be presented for everybody as the appetizer. A large selection of just chef's choice items, and then for the entree we'll have a choice of 2 proteins, a grilled salmon and grilled herb chicken, and they'll be accompanied with or served over a pesto linguine pasta. And I don't want to say too much because I want to.
Don't give it all.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't want to say too much, but you know what I mean. It's it's really going to be a really good event. Of course, everybody will go home with these recipes, and because of course I can say exactly what I'm going to make, but that doesn't mean you can really replicate it without the recipes themselves. But I guess that's the really cool part about the event is being able to come in, see me prepare the meal, being able to talk to me, interact. And like I said before, it's really more so about creating like a memorable experience, because if you think about food or you think about events that you go to, when you taste the food, of course you remember the food was really good or really delicious and everything, or maybe it wasn't, or whatever the case is at any event, because these things happen. But I feel like you more so remember you relate the food with the experience, and you remember, oh, I tasted this, but I was here when I did that, or I was doing this, or I was talking to this person, I had this wine glass in my hand and we were laughing about this. And it's just like you relate those memories and those things you go back to. So when you got your recipe card and you're cooking it at home and you get that smell in the kitchen, you're like, oh, I remember when I was
Yes.
trying the wine. And it all brings it together. And that's the beautiful thing about the community, and why it's so good to do things like this. And I'm honored to be working with you ladies.
Thank you. I
Yes,
like
and
that.
I agree. And not just that piece of it, but then also I'm sure you all will be sharing like how the vision came together, and that's what I'm interested in on the 18th, learning about how it all came together. And you know uh Chef Swank, when you were tasting the wines, and as you mentioned with Serenity, how you thought about certain desserts, but when you were tasting some of the other wines, why you thought about whatever dishes you thought about and how the notes marry. Like that's what I love to hear about. And Dalia and Cyndi, I've learned so much from both of you going to your wine tastings about how to savor the notes. Like I enjoy now doing my own little blind taste testings at home, and I'm like, let me see what I taste in here.
Right.
But from the beginning, it was something that was very intimidating to me, to go to some of these places and you just don't feel comfortable asking questions. And
Mhm,
so being in a space like this where it's intimate
mhm,
and you have access to the chef, you have access to the winemakers that are guiding you through, and very relatable, from right up the street in Bowie. And also, I wanted to mention that you all are having this at a new content creator studio right here in Mitchellville called Fiercely Feminine Studios,
yes.
and it is owned by Miss Jada Moore. Is that her last name, Jada Moore?
Mhm. Yeah. She should be
Yeah,
on here.
and I know I
She
thought
was
about that
joining. He said she
after,
was joining, so I was like, yes, that would be wonderful.
But
but
as you
so I
mentioned,
do have. Oh, go ahead, Dahlia.
no, I was gonna say, as you mentioned, having the the intimate dinners, right? To be able to do that and keep the numbers, lower. What it does, for, at least for me, and I'm sure for Cyndi also, it the feel of it is that it's just the family. It
Yeah.
feels just like we were doing in the early
Mhm.
days, where it was just the family dinner table. and everybody trying wines, talking about
Connecting,
food,
right?
Yeah.
wine, and anything else that came up, And
Yes.
I think that's what these intimate events, these small events, do for us,
Yeah.
really.
No, I totally agree. I mean, the connecting, from the beginning, Rose, as you mentioned, when we were doing these back in the day, it was creating that safe space to have conversation and discussion about wines because it can be intimidating. And so just doing that is something that we love doing. I mean, we've had opportunities to do larger events where there are thousands of people. And even
And
with
those
that,
are fun also.
they're fun. But even with that, we've been consistent with always, always, always being able to give you more than what you expect in terms of, you're not just coming up to the table or to us and we're just pouring wines for you and saying, thank you and next. It's like, no, we always make time to tell you about the experience or the journey, if you will, with our wines.
Yeah.
And so, we thought that people would like not, get off the line and like, oh, this is too long, we're not going to wait. It is a blessing that has not happened. People, I think that they value that, learning a bit more than
It
just
never
tasting.
fails.
Yeah.
They always come up to us and tell us how they appreciate that we take the time to talk about our wines instead of just pouring it for them to drink, and to be able to share a little bit about, how this came about, right? So I think that is something that we are now known for, and proudly
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Proudly so.
And I know that's what you ladies pride your brands on, being a boutique winery where you are able to share your stories. You are able to connect with the people that are drinking your wines. And so to that point, I do want to share one of the latest events that you all did. You were a part of a pop-up that was at in partnership with Porsche. So I'm going to share that video. Sorry, let me get the right video. Yeah, I love it. And so, folks, if you are out there watching this, that is the type of detail that you can expect when you attend an intimate fellowshipping with Narcisso Wine Cellar. And so, again, you can check for tickets at the link in my bio and use the discount code, use the discount code Spotlight DMV, all caps and the number 10, to save on the tickets. But now we have come to the time where I really want to make an announcement. So let me give a drum roll. And guys, I'm going a little slow because I'm doing this all myself. Let me find my drum roll. Drum roll for the announcement.
There we go. We get your old school one.
Yes, thank you. Drum roll. Yes, thank you. Okay, so the Spotlight DMV is giving away to one winner a pair of tickets to the Chef's Table on October 18th. I cannot wait to have one of you and your besties join me at the table on October 18th. So all you have to do is visit the link in my bio or scan the QR code and sign up for the Spotlight DMV email list. And that's it. You are in the running for this unforgettable experience. And you will be the first to receive news, to receive new interviews. You'll be the first to know about what's happening in Prince George's County and the DMV. So again, I am giving away a pair of tickets to one person that joins my email list. And the deadline is this Thursday by midnight to enter. And I will let you know by email who wins. And so Dalia and Cyndi and Chef Swank, this has been an amazing conversation. I am so, so excited. Chef Swank, I hope, look, so there's not going to be a tomahawk steak there with my name on it.
There we go. we gotta situate that. We gotta get you a tomahawk for sure. We gotta get you one for sure.
Well, I'll make sure to come visit you at where you're working to get me a tomahawk steak. But in the meantime, I cannot wait until October 18th. So tell folks, Dalia and Cyndi, where they can find you on social media.
Well, for us on social media, it's straightforward. It's just at Narcisso Wine Cellar. And that is, on IG. And of course, our website is, narcissowinecellar.com. And you have all our information there. And so we're just really excited about this and looking forward to creating another experience for everyone. That's what we always try to do something different. And so you can expect the same for this event.
And Chef Swank, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at chef_swank, SWANK. I'm reaching out for any culinary needs. Like I said, creating culinary experiences that that you will remember forever through your senses. And,
Absolutely.
Yes, awesome. So once again, I am looking forward to October 18th at 6:00. Thank you again, Dalia, Cyndi, Chef Swank. Thank you for all you're doing to bring Prince George's County out, to show people that we are here and we are doing big things. And not only that, we are collaborating with each other and we are making it happen. And so, folks, if you are enjoying these conversations, please make sure to follow the Spotlight DMV, sign up for my email newsletter, and be in the know about what's happening in Prince George's County and the DMV. Until next time, this is the Spotlight DMV. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And thank you, Rose, for doing this, for always putting Prince George's County out there in a positive light and just having people be aware of what we have to offer. So thank you for doing that.
Most definitely. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that so much.